So Ganesh Kumar Bangah is the youngest ever CEO in a public listed company. How old were you at that time, Ganesh?
I was actually 23 when I listed MOL the first time on the Malaysian Stock Exchange.
Oh wow! Oh, by the way, the style of this whole eSummit is just very fireside. I know we are in different locations, but it's going to be conversational back and forth, and that way we can really get really intimate into the real issues. Especially, we want to know the real you. So you're youngest CEO, and you also were you the founder of PIKOM?
No, I'm not the founder of PIKOM. PIKOM is actually the National Tech Association of Malaysia. And it's been around for 30 years.
30 years. Oh.
Yeah, but it was focusing on ICT before I became the chairman. So I rebranded as a tech association. Yeah.
And
so
then
I'm currently the immediate past chairman. I was chairman for the full 2-year term. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, and then we ourselves, we know each other. In fact, we were at the RISE conference, which is in Hong Kong, right? The RISE conference is the biggest tech conference in Asia. So, and then we said, hey, we should do something. And guess what? 2 years, in 2022, RISE is coming to Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, RISE is coming to Malaysia. PIKOM was quite involved in that. In fact, when I was chairman, we actually started the initiative to bring RISE, the largest tech conference in Asia, to Malaysia.
Fantastic, fantastic. And then you also won the Ernst Young Technology Entrepreneur of the Year in 2012. And now, because you won it, you now sit in the board, in the panel. So if you want...
Yeah, I've been a judge, I would say, for the last 3 years. Yeah, it's a way to contribute back to build the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and then you're the first internet company in Southeast Asia to be listed in NASDAQ. So these are all incredible achievements. Welcome to the 9 new norms to COVID-19 and digital transformation. So I heard you come from Johor Bahru. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I was born and was raised in Johor, JB. Yeah.
There is a story in the media, a famous story that you were in Singapore and then you saw Bill Gates in some TV, and then you said, I wouldn't be that.
I was operating a cyber cafe in Johor Bahru at that time. I was a cyber cafe operator, and I saw Bill Gates on TV, and I told my boss at that time, who later became my partner, I want to be the Bill Gates of Malaysia.
And you are. So people are calling you the Bill Gates of Malaysia. So you achieved that after all these years.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, that was actually just before my Form 5. Just after my STM, so I was part-timing in a cyber cafe when that happened. And then after that, I actually started studying in UTM. And after studying, I actually dropped out of uni in my 3rd year of uni to start MOL.
So you're like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, who saw opportunity, did not complete their studies. So it is true. It is true.
Yeah, I don't encourage the young to do that though. So I don't want people to just drop out of uni after hearing this story. Yeah, so I don't actually encourage that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it happens, and yes, we're not going to give the message that you can be the Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or even Mark Zuckerberg. So yeah, study important, but sometimes when a lifetime opportunity comes, you just have to grab it. So Vincent Tan was your first.
Yeah, so when I was 20 years old, Vincent Tan actually invested in my company.
Wait a minute. You don't simply talk to Vincent Tan and get money. How do you do that? Tell me the secret.
No, he was investing in about 30. He invested in about 30 internet companies at that time. And so through one of my friends, I approached him and pitched first to his people, and his people brought me to pitch to him, and he invested 2 million ringgit in MOL at that time in the year 2000 when I was 20 years old. 20
years old. So were you confident? Were you like shaking this. Oh my God, it's actually Vincent Tan from the Jaya Group. How was the experience?
So I'd say I was a bit less confident than I am now. Slightly less confident.
You're very humble. That's great. So and then how long do you take to get it right? Did you get it right at the very beginning?
In terms of getting the business right or getting the model
yeah, the
model,
right? The model.
No, look. The business took a long time at that time. I think it took us 7 to 8 years to get the model really right, and that's really because at that time the market was not ready, right? I mean, the year 2000, how many people were buying online? And we started an online payment gateway in the year 2000, right? And when I started talking to people saying what I'm doing, they were like, how do you make money from nothing? You mean what? You collect money and, people didn't understand it. Today, 20 years later, everybody is purchasing using e-wallets, right? We started, I would say, one of the pioneer e-wallets in Malaysia. So in many ways, some people call me the godfather or the grandfather. Maybe grandfather is more appropriate. Grandfather of fintech. Yeah. Grandfather, not grandfather. Yeah.
So I think yeah, definitely pioneer. You didn't have you have nobody to follow, at least in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And internet is new. People. So this is so it's amazing that you say it took 6-7 years to figure out. I've been accused by some of my peers that say, "Hey, Robert, sometimes you don't know what you're doing," and I'm figuring out. I'm figuring out.
If you take 6-7 years today to really figure out your business model, or the term is find product market fit in digitalization today, you're dead. In the year 2000, you can take 6-7 years because you don't have competition, right? But today you should do it within 6 to 7 months. If you don't figure out the right product market fit within 6-7 months, I believe you'll be dead. Yeah.
I believe is you need to be the first in the market, but more importantly, the first to capture the mind that you're the first in the market. Yeah. So it's not about being the first. Like Apple, the iPod wasn't the first MP3. It was the other ones.
Yeah. Look, Google wasn't the first search engine.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Yahoo. Facebook's not the first social network. It was Friendster, which we also happened to acquire about 10 years ago, right?
I know.
So I would say that it's not about being the first, but there's a terminology in the Silicon Valley called product market fit, and I think finding product market fit is actually key to actually developing a successful digital strategy, right? Now you may ask what is finding product market fit? So really it is tailoring your product for the right market. You see, so let's say I give you an example of retail. So if you look at retail, succeeding in retail is really about location, right? If you find the right location, yes, if you find the right location, as you mentioned, then basically you will do well, right? Yeah. But in online, there is no location, right? Your competitor is just a URL away. So what's really important in terms of generating product market fit is actually finding the right market and then tailoring your product to suit the market. In other words, in all marketing terms, is finding your niche, right? And so a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago, I actually found a Silicon Valley accelerator called Protex that actually turned that process of finding product market fit into a methodology, right? And so how do you find product market fit, which is key to digitalization? Number one is market discovery, finding your right market, right?
Wait. Let's do this. So
market discovery.
Market discovery is number one phase.
Yeah, understanding your customer basically, right? So you need to find your right customer, know how big it is, and then second phase is market messaging. Basically, getting the messaging, getting the right message to that group of customers. So tailoring your message, tailoring your creativity to that customer, right? The third is really a market outreach. So then finding the right channels to reach your customers. For example, if you're launching a product targeting professionals, you should not just market on Facebook. Your marketing should be focused on LinkedIn, for example. Yes, but if you're targeting the mass consumer, then you should actually advertise on Facebook, right? And even on Facebook, when you advertise, you can actually target, right? You can do retargeting. Does that make sense? So you can basically target to the right customer as well. So that's market outreach.
Yeah. You mean like demographics and...
Yes, that's right. Interest, right? Why Facebook is, such a valuable business is you can actually target your advertising to people with certain interests, right? So if somebody likes shoes and you're selling shoes, then you can target or they like sports and you're selling shoes, then you can target the people that would buy your shoe, right? So your advertising is actually more targeted and therefore will generate a better impact or return, right? And finally, the fourth is market outreach. Sorry, market results. So after market outreach is market results. So it's market discovery, market messaging, market outreach, and market results. Now, what is market results? Market results basically is taking and seeing what you did worked or not, right? So unlike in a retail environment where you can't change what you've already renovated, in an online environment, you can actually change and test, right? So you can do A/B testing, for example. So if it doesn't work, it's okay. Just change your messaging, right? Change the channels you outreach, and then you try again until you've actually reached that optimum product market fit, right? And that essentially, in a nutshell, is the methodology that we teach in GrowthX. So I actually licensed the academy and brought it to Malaysia.
So tell us a bit about GrowthX. In fact, last night we had a good conversation. And we definitely want to collaborate. We have this Purple Youth entrepreneurship. It's for youth trying to be entrepreneurs. So so tell us about this GrowthX. Is a Silicon Valley?
Yes, the Silicon Valley Accelerator and Academy. So I actually met them about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. And before I started my current business, after I left MOL, I became PIKOM chairman, and as I became PIKOM chairman, I wanted to see how I could help companies, startups, as well as SMEs actually find product market fit. Also corporates as well find product market fit, because a lot of corporates were launching the digitalization, were launching internet products, but which were not successful because they were not able to find that product market fit. And they were searching for success in the wrong place. They were actually searching for success in technology or the product. But success, whether online or offline, is not found from the product, but it's actually found from the customer, right? I'm a big believer of Sun Tzu, know your enemy, know yourself, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories, right? So you need to know your customer first. And if you look at market discovery, that's all about knowing your customer, right? So I met this group of entrepreneurs in the Valley, and they had the same challenges that I had when it came to investing in entrepreneurs and startups. In the sense that entrepreneurs and startups were too focused on their product and themselves, to be honest, and not enough on the market and the customer, right? So they then came up with this methodology to find product market fit and turn it into a syllabus that can be taught. And together with that, they also had an academy that teaches growth marketing. So we teach people how to do digital marketing, but we call it growth marketing because digital marketing today is a overused word, right?
All right.
It's an overused word, right? I prefer the word growth marketing and performance marketing a bit. Then the second is user experience. You know, in Malaysia, our user experience of our products are quite weak. Just look at our mask flight, because we all haven't flown on Mars, so maybe not a good example. We may forget, but Mars makes you actually press many times to actually go to the next program on the, like you have to go through 10 episodes before you go to the next season. Yes, many years ago they had that. So that's bad user experience, right? And then the third is, of course, finding that sales strategy or finding the right customer. So we also teach sales, right? And sales today is very different from sales 10 years ago, right? So why is it different? Because today you can do, for example, you can do lead gen online. In fact, today the only way for you to do sales is actually doing lead gen online, right? So the most effective way of doing sales today is actually doing an ad on LinkedIn, for example. You're selling products targeting professionals or targeting businesses. and that generates you leads, and then you can follow up on the leads through Zoom or whatnot, just like what you're doing right now, right, Robert?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So how long is this program, this GrowthX?
So we've got many syllabuses. Actually, Alice Fung, I just saw her. I think she's in this. Actually runs that for me. So I've invested over the last 3 years about 10 enablers, e-commerce enablers within the ecosystem. If I can just touch about that, then I'll go back to GrowthX. So I've invested. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I looked at this company called Shopify. You've heard of Shopify?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So Shopify about 4 years ago was trading at $25 on the Toronto Stock Exchange and also the Nasdaq. I think at the dual listing. And so I bought it. Yeah.
You invested in Shopify?
Yeah, it's a listed company. So I bought it. I was a public investor at Shopify at 25, and I sold it at 50. Shopify is now. Guess how much Shopify is now?
I have no idea what.
$1,000.
You're a rich man.
I wish I sold it at 50. Right?
But you have insights, and that's why.
So I then came to Malaysia and said I want to invest in the Shopify of Malaysia, and so I found this company in Penang called Site Giant. So with Site Giant, with Site Giant, you can upload your product to Site Giant and then sync it to Lazada, Shopee, 11th Street, and create your own web store and also sell through Facebook, right? So essentially, we built Site Giant, and then I invested in Site Giant. I invested in a warehouse management platform called Let Me Store because I realized a lot of brands and the makciks that were selling online, they were keeping all their products in their house, right? So then when the order comes, they manually go and pick, pack, and deliver, and their husbands were starting to complain. So I invested in a warehouse platform called Let Me Store, where you can put your product in the warehouse and they will manage everything for you, and it's then integrated to Site Giant, right? So a host of other enablers. You can find out more at commerce.asia. And after investing in these enablers, I actually created a one-stop solution for brands and SMEs to actually get online. So we handles everything end to end for a brand. We're not a marketplace, but what we do is if you're a brand, you put the products in our warehouse, we will list it on the marketplaces, we'll create your website, we'll list it on the marketplaces, we'll also handle your order management, and most importantly, we handle also the performance marketing for the brands as well. And we actually use the GrowthX methodology of finding product market fit to create successful brands. So we've actually helped a number of brands. So one of them actually we took on about 1 year ago, and we actually grew their sales about 20 times in 1 year. Like from 50,000 a month to $1 million a month within 1 year in the course of the pandemic, right? And so that's a lot of things that SMEs and e-commerce merchants don't understand. They think selling on e-commerce is easy, and then they try and they fail and they stop there, right? The fact is, to actually sell on e-commerce, to actually succeed on e-commerce, a lot of that is investing in performance marketing and digital marketing. So we, for example, I have a performance marketing company that I've also invested in, has grown a startup from say 10, 20, 30,000 ringgit to $1 million ringgit by investing in performance marketing, right? Right? So what's very important really is having the right expertise, and the issue in having the right expertise is very hard to find the right person, right? Yes. So expertise is built with experience over time. It's very hard to find the right person that can actually help you grow your business online, because most of the good people are working for Lazada and Shopee and all these big companies, and may want to work for a startup or a tech company like us, but may not want to work for a brand. So we hire them, and then we provide a service to brands. Actually, it's called commerce.asia enterprise. We then provide a service to brands to actually help them grow their business online, headache free, right? And you may ask, what are the two biggest challenges in growing your business today?
Yeah, what are the two biggest? Yes, but
the first challenge really is growing the business itself, right? It's creating demand, right? And the second is making sure that the supply meets the demand, right? So once you have people buying, getting the supply to meet demand. Now for brands to do it themselves, they face a number of challenges. The first challenge they face is when they actually try to sell their product online, what happens is they don't know how to actually get customers to buy, right? Because they haven't found product market fit, they don't know how to do their market outreach, they don't know how to do performance marketing. So we help in that, right? And then the second thing is, once you build the sales, especially in the current environment like COVID, where sales can double, triple overnight, then they cannot deliver the sales because they don't have the right fulfillment system, they don't have the right warehousing management platforms to deliver that. And a B2B warehouse that serves your retailers are very different from B2C warehouse that actually serves consumers or e-commerce companies. Right? Now you may ask, why is that a warehouse? It's very different because a B2B warehouse, you take 10 products and deliver to one retailer, right?
Yes.
Right? Whereas a B2C warehouse, you actually take 10 products and deliver to 10 people, or 100 products deliver to 100 people. So you need different systems, different processes, and that's an investment on its own, right? So we kind of take that headache off the brands, and we want to target brands that already have a high brand recall. And after taking that off the brands, so the brands can basically outsource their entire e-commerce operations to us. And we've achieved many successes in it, including the example I gave you, premium bedding brand, we grew them 20 times.
So that is a retail. That one you said.
It's a retail brand. They had about I think it was tens or not tens of outlets across Malaysia, and their retail sales online was very small, right? I think they do something like 200 million online at the time, and the retail sales was 500,000. So we grew that very quickly to become like 10-20% of their sales, right? And so that's the future of retail. It's going to be e-commerce. I saw a statement recently. I don't know whether you guys saw it. I think the owner of Mydin made a statement that he's concerned. Yeah, he doesn't believe that e-commerce is going to be the future, and he's worried if e-commerce becomes the future because it's all foreign operators, right? And he's very right. For some categories on the marketplaces, you will see that it's populated or majority populated by products shipped from. Yes, that's right.
China.
Right? But why is that? That's because our local operators are not actually able to actually compete against the foreign operators in terms of marketing and price, right? So of course, price is difficult to compete with, but then when it comes to branding, marketing, etc., that we can actually compete with, right? Because it's our consumers, we are here. So I've also invested recently in an Australian listed company called NetCentric that actually owns an influencer marketing platform called Nafnang. I'm sure some of you have heard of Nafnang. So I own Nafnang through this Australian company right now. I own 84% of the Australian listed company. And so influencer marketing is now also very important when it comes to building your brand online, right?
Yeah, in fact, Craig Santee, who's just joined in from LA, I'm gonna introduce you, but he also will talk about the influencer marketing. Very ties in with everything that we're talking about. And later we have David Fagan. He will talk about how to be how to promote yourself, how to be life changing. So wonderful. So again, the influencer marketing you're saying.
Yeah, so and the new trend that came out, so I invested in Nafnang just before the last lockdown, right? So new trend that came in the last MC or last lockdown was really live commerce.
Live?
You're familiar with live commerce?
Ah, okay. Tell us more.
People selling seafood online and whatnot. So you see the guys doing millions of sales, by the way, just selling seafood online. You want to switch now, press +1 to buy, right? You press +1 or crab. Like last night I saw somebody selling crab. You want to buy this crab, press +1 to buy, right? Then when you press +1, they then ask you to bank it into their bank account, and then they deliver it. So it's all manual at the back. So I invested. So one of my ex-staff was my tech head. One of my tech heads in MOL actually developed a platform to automate that, and it's called Nafnang Live Commerce today, right? You can go to nafnang.live. So what happens then is we automate the whole process. So a brand can today sell a product online. They can do a live commerce, and then when they want to buy, you press +1, and then we have a product that takes your +1 We capture the customer's address, delivery. We send them to the FPX payment gateway through their online banking. And then if you want, it's linked to our warehouse where we pick, pack, and deliver the products as well, right? So I'm sorry if I'm sounding a bit like a bit of, I would say, salesy here. But the reason why I am is the companies I've invested in, I actually kind of see how I could look at the future and invest in it today to be prepared for the future. That's what I'm good at, right? So the examples I'm giving is actually what I believe to be the next big trend, right? And I believe the next big trend is actually live commerce. Why I think that live commerce? Why I think that live commerce is the next big trend? You know, in China, 10% of e-commerce is via live commerce.
How many percent?
10%.
Wow, that's very big. That's very big. And in fact, Craig will talk a bit of that later.
Yeah,
right?
and you must ask, why is that so big? It is because the current e-commerce is demand-based. That means when you want to buy a product, you go to Lazada and Shopee and look for the product, right? But live commerce is actually pushed to the customer. They have nothing to do. They watch it on Facebook, especially in the current work from home environment where everybody is at home looking at their handphones or looking at their computers, right? They got nothing to do. Then they're bored. They go and see this guy selling crab. They want to eat the crab and then press +1. If they never watch it, they won't want to buy the crab, right? So think about the marketing and think about the kind of marketing. I'm not sure the marketers here. Think about the kind of things that you can do to promote your brand. Today, you can go out to the customer and promote your new product, which you used to spend marketing offline on, right? And immediately track the sales, immediate sales that come from that marketing, right?
Yes.
Right? Because it's as easy as the customer pressing +1 and transacting the payment gateway. In the future, we'll also be integrating it so they don't then have to verify the payment gateway anymore. They just verify once and just press yes when they want the product to be delivered to them, right? Yeah. So today it's all about making it seamless. Today is all about getting to the right customer at the right time.
Fantastic, fantastic. So yeah, I think we should be wrapping up. Or if there's any questions from the audience, please either type into the thing and my team will put it there, or just ask, raise your hand, you can ask. This is like the last few minutes, you can ask Ganesh. I must say that you have lots of experience, you have an eye for investment, you know what's the next thing, you are ahead of the game, and that's why you're the entrepreneur, technology entrepreneur of the year. So you definitely, it takes a different eye to see these things and have the conviction, isn't it? The conviction.
Sure, yeah. I mean, confidence and conviction is all part of business, right? But that's entrepreneurship. Now, I'm a strong believer in entrepreneurship because if you look at the core of entrepreneurship is solving problems, right? Yeah. So if we actually support entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs actually can solve the world's problems.
Yes.
So which is why now, as I look at the next step, I'm actually looking at grooming the next generation of entrepreneurs to see how we can actually help them solve the world's problems, right? And if you take that also into the corporate environment today, when it comes to digitalization, it's so very important to build intrapreneurship, as some corporates call it, right? So to build entrepreneurs within the organization to solve the organizations within the corporates as well, and to build digitalization products. So I'm now looking at initiatives how to, for example, co-invest with corporates to build these intrapreneurship products as well. So these are some of the things that we're doing. Now the problem about innovating in a corporate is it's kind of very difficult because of the I would say the boxes around innovating in corporates. So that's where, as outsiders, I'm actually looking at now investing in some funds that partner with corporates to actually digitalize themselves.
That's very interesting. So you're saying that this intrapreneurship, you're creating entrepreneurs within a corporate setting. So they have, for instance, bank is so conservative. They have some banks here, there's UOB and Islamic Bank, there's some senior executives here. So they're thinking, hey, bang, I'm just a manager there. What can I do to be an entrepreneur? Can we talk a bit about that?
That's right. So look, I think the biggest issue with the large giants, and it's not just banks, the telcos and whatnot, with innovating is the already set, I would say, boxes they have in operating within their organization, right? Now, because of entrepreneurship and solving problems, it's all about ticking out the box, right? So when you operate within a box, you can't innovate. You need to get out of the box, right? So it takes somebody from the outside to come in to work together with somebody on the inside on innovating. And that's where GrowthX can come in as an academy to help, or in terms of training. But sometimes just providing knowledge is not enough. You also need somebody to come in and partner with the corporates. And that's something that we're looking at right now, right? How can we co-create digital products, for example? So the word now is co-creation. How can we come in and partner with corporates to co-create digital products? Yes. And entrepreneurship come in and co-create those digital products with the corporates and then take it to the next level. So the other issue that corporates kind of face when they work with startups and entrepreneurs, and this people have been talking from Kingdom Come, right? Startups should work with corporates. Now the issue is that the wavelength or the language length of a corporate and the entrepreneurs are very different, right? So for example, valuation, a corporate works on price earnings, startup works on discounted cash flow, right?
Yes.
So in the future, I'm going to make 10 million of profit, so I want you to value me at 100 million today. And I only want to sell you 10% of it for 1 million. Corporate say, what? I can build this on my own and I own 100% or 100% of it. So the corporate is thinking of building it on their own. The startups want very high valuations, right? But what we are thinking of right now, what I'm looking at the next generation is how can we come into the corporate and say, look, let's co-create this. It'll cost $1 million. You come up with maybe 40-50%. I come with 40-50%. Or we see who provides more value, and you can, and the person who provides more value can have majority in the stake, and then we co-develop and build these products together.
Fantastic. So yeah, so this co-creating is fantastic. It's like, yeah, so because a lot of corporate, although they're good in what they do as a bank or as a manufacturing or retail, but they may not have the expertise, generic expertise of you and I. Where like a consultant, I don't. A lot of time the clients ask, "How do you know? What do you know about industry?" I sometimes say I don't know anything, and yet I could give much more creative ideas than someone in the industry because we have this thing to see outside the box. Because you're in the same industry, you probably offer the same solutions that the client has, which is not useful at all.
Yeah, so I saw somebody raise their hand. I think Suen raised their hand.
Suen, yes, please, Suen.
Yeah, Ganesh, I'm actually quite interested to hear that you are coming up with companies that will partner with the banks and other bigger companies, right? So I should have mentioned that. My actual question is, what industries do you feel would be ready for that? And what's the difference in the startups part? How will the startups partner with the older companies? Because I've seen some banks try it, and it has a lot of the times it fails miserably halfway through.
Yeah, so Suen, maybe you can just give a background of what organization you're from.
I'm from CIMB. I'm in a department of CIMB that does digitalization. So I am very familiar with a lot of the pain points that you guys are talking about.
Sure.
Even the one that you guys aren't talking about, which is majority of the time, a lot of it is politics as well as a very old-fashioned mindset.
Right. So you see, when I'm talking about startups, it doesn't mean getting a startup from outside the bank and bring them in to actually partner with the bank to do it. Because the problem with the startups is the mindset is just too far away. The corporate mindset, the startup mindset is just too far away, and that's why, as you rightly mentioned, it's actually there's a lot of failures in that. But what if we as an outsider could come in and invest in an entrepreneur, somebody within the organization, and partner with a bank, for example, right? So we invest some money, the bank invests some money, and the entrepreneur within the organization then runs it, and each of them can have equity, right? So we come in as the person that has digital expertise, the entrepreneur has knowledge expertise, and the bank then provides the first market or whatnot. And you know, we in my previous career, we have actually created a number of successful digitalization projects. For example, MOL's first channel when we started at that time was actually 7-Eleven, right? So we started through 7-Eleven, selling our online game credits. We were the biggest online game payment platform in 7-Eleven. Until today, MOL Pay, which is now called Digital Fintech, is the biggest e-commerce payment platform in 7-Eleven. And people used to go to 7-Eleven, and we actually created that whole trend of going to 7-Eleven to pay for e-commerce or pay for online games, right? At one point, MOL was valued higher than 7-Eleven. So that's an example of where we leverage on the channels of a corporate, but operate as an outside entrepreneur, actually creating the digital product that then generates revenue for the corporate and also generates value for the corporate that's the investor of that venture, as well as the third-party investors of that venture and the entrepreneur. So we're looking at more ventures like that, and from my experience, I'm looking at seeing how we could actually help in that. Does that make sense, Suen?
Yes, that makes sense. Just one other part of the question was, which industries will you be targeting first, or do you feel they are more ready or more open towards such a partnership?
Look, so the industry that I'm currently operating through, that I'm currently trying to innovate through commerce.asia is of course retail, right? That's something I'm already doing. And how we're doing that is based on an outsource model. So the brands outsource the e-commerce operation to us. We look around from innovations from all over the world and then implement it for the brands. And today we're also working with banks. Since you're from banks, so we're working with banks. So banks have clients in the retail industry that maybe banks have lent to, and after lending today in the current lockdown, those brands, those retailers that they've lent to are suffering basically, right? So we can come in and help grow their sales. So that's one example of how we have been working in terms of innovating in the retail industry. But I'm now taking that model and then taking it and seeing how we can innovate in more industries as well. So I don't think there's a limit on what industry today is ready for digitalization. I think the question is what industry is not ready for digitalization. Does that make sense, Suen?
Yep, thanks.
Right? So you look at the industry and see, look, what area of this process can be actually digitalized, and then digitalize that process.
Okay, is there anything more? If not, I think that's a bit time. I think Craig is going to go next. So Ganesh, I salute you for your tenacity, your innovation, and being the trendsetter. So let's help people. You said, read your article, write about you, that you want to help the next generation of entrepreneurs and youth. So let's help each other. We're in the same boat. So let's inspire them with our wisdom.
Sure. Yeah, and I think just to add to that, Robert, if there's one thing that's good that the current COVID pandemic is going to bring positively to our I would say society, to humankind today, is actually accelerating digitalization, right? COVID is the best chief digital officer the world has ever had, right? Because today we are forced, in the last 1 year, we are forced to adopt digitalization. I'm sure you all have heard it many times, right? Now the challenge is, how do we successfully implement digitalization? And again, I repeat what I mentioned earlier, that's about two things. It's about knowing your customer and reaching your customer correctly, and then being able to fulfill the demands of the customer. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, so I think, so to end, I think there is a lot of, we have quite a lot of tools there. We have the Growth X, we have the Purple Youth. So all this to help any level, even the entrepreneur, the corporate person like Suen can be an entrepreneur within your bank, within your industry.
So if anybody wants to reach out to me for a bit more details, of course you can reach out to Robert as well, but I'll just put my email address in the
Yeah.
in the chat group?
Yeah, go ahead. So and then we'll collaborate.
Oh, sorry. Let me just. That's the wrong one. 1 second.
Wrong one,
Ganesh at commerce.asia, right? Ganesh at commerce.asia.
Yeah. So anything we will reach out to you and just bring your questions. I also put my I also will put my email address. So so everyone is accessible. And Craig, you're ready to go, right? I'm multitasking here.
Ready to go.
Wait. Hold on. You're Hollywood style, right? Okay. So Ganesh, I thank you for taking time from public holiday. I like that you meditate in the morning and you have that spiritual element. So even though you're all money and entrepreneurship, there's still the spiritual part of you, which we talked about a few times.
Entrepreneurship is not about money, right? Entrepreneurship is about solving problems. Money is just a measure of success.
Thank you. So you've been a great inspiration. Everyone give him a clap.
Thank you, guys.